We're here with you exclusively all day. Now, the hashtag to follow us is hashtag Ignite B2B. And if you want to stay with us on Facebook Live, it's facebook.com/marketing B2B. Now, it's absolutely jam-packed with speakers from the world of marketing today, and we're going to be streaming some of these all day for you. But first, to kick it off, is Joel from B2B Marketing to tell you exactly what's coming up on today's schedule.
Have a sit down, just about to kick off and get this show underway. So we're really delighted that so many of you could join us here today for B2B Ignite 2017. This is going to be the biggest event that we've ever done, and this is going to be the best event in the B2B marketing calendar, certainly this year, if not ever. And yeah, we're really proud of it, and we're really excited about what you're going to hear from today and what you're going to see. There's going to be over 1,000 B2B marketers here today, so you're in very, very good company. We hope you enjoy the day, get lots of insight and inspiration, lots of great vibes. Lots of great speakers and great colleagues to network with and connect with, so it promises to be a fantastic day. Just before we get into that, I will do some housekeeping points just to show you can understand a bit about what's going on and how it all works. But just before that, I wanted to take this opportunity. I know that not all of you know us from the past, not all of you have much dealings with B2B marketing, so I want to take the chance to tell you a bit about our story in the past.
Back in 2004, we had an idea
to elevate B2B marketers from the back office to the top table in their businesses.
to make working in B2B something to be excited about and proud of.
It's all turned out pretty amazingly.
It all started with the launch of B2B Marketing magazine. It became so clear to us there was a massive opportunity for us to help B2B marketers develop their skills, their careers and their teams. So we set about building what we have today. We're a world-class team of multi-skilled B2B and marketing industry experts. That amazing team empowers us to deliver what no one else can in the B2B space.
We do most of the training in B2B, producing bespoke courses for some of the biggest and challenging brands around the world.
Our training programme includes over 40 different in-house open workshops, full-day workshops throughout the year, and completely bespoke team training. So this is really powerful stuff for upskilling, motivating and inspiring your B2B marketing team.
The trainers bring in examples or ideas of how to change what we're doing. Like anything, you need to get outside of the office and see examples of how to do things differently.
Great examples from the training today that I can use and take them back to my colleagues.
Everything changes so fast in B2B marketing.
All that constant change makes it really hard to keep up, but our premium content subscribers don't have that problem.
When you are a premium subscriber, you do not have to drill through Google.
You have access to all the resources you need to plan, get skilled up, stay ahead of the curve and get inspired.
There's a lot of research on the site that helps me plug my knowledge gap, and to have the quality of content and to be able to share with my team, I would certainly recommend it.
So many of the people who work within the B2B space are the leaders of the C-suite.
The B2B Leaders Programme is the largest of its
So I've loved the roundtable sessions. So yeah, it's been a really good day.
It's very easy to get into a bubble and sit at your desk. The thing that appealed with the B2B Leaders Programme was being able to meet other B2B marketers, share best practices.
Would I recommend the B2B Leaders one? Yeah, absolutely. I've had a really good day today.
I would absolutely recommend it.
I would highly recommend the B2B Leaders Programme to other senior marketers. Yeah, it's a great network to be part of.
Our next programme hosts some of the largest events in the industry.
Take the B2B Marketing Awards. It's so much about what we are as a brand.
The award rocks.
This event is the pinnacle for our industry.
All our events are face-to-face.
Really inspired me. One is inspiration. The second thing is the expertise. I always find you've got people and content from real experts. And the third thing is the networking, is the opportunity to network with colleagues. Get out of the office, get inspired.
We owe all our success to our brilliant team and to the fantastic B2B marketing community that we're so passionate about. It's become a real movement. To all of them, we'd really like to say thank you.
Thank you. You're beautiful. You're beautiful.
We are over 200 150,000 users across the globe. Over 150,000 marketers follow us on social media.
We'll train hundreds of B2B marketing
Movement just keeps getting bigger.
Join us.
That was really good. So thanks for your attention to that. I hope that gives you a bit of a flavour about what we're trying to do. But focusing back on here and now, we've got a fantastic packed day to talk to you today. And so I wanted to spend a couple of minutes to tell you what to expect and some things about how this event actually works. Hopefully some of you, a lot of you will have been here before, some of you might not have been, but there are some new things which we have got on the agenda today. Specifically, obviously we've got it's bigger and better this year as always. There's many more things going on, but specifically in the right-hand corner at the back there, we've got a new feature which is called the Tech Playground. Now we all know that technology is really the driving force of innovation and change in B2B at the moment, along with creativity. But we really wanted to bring you the opportunity and the chance to go and try out some of these platforms and solutions. So over there, we've picked about 12 or 10 of some of the most interesting platforms that are going on in B2B, some of the new interesting things that you can have a look at. And the opportunity there is just to go and try them out and talk to the vendors about it. It's not a sales pitch, it's just an opportunity to see what's going on. So do take advantage of that. Do have a play with some of those platforms and see what's going on there. In terms of, I need to move this on a little bit. So the venue today, those of you who haven't seen it before, most of the activity takes place in this room here. This is the keynote theatre. If you've signed up for things in the keynote theatre, this is where you are right now. We've got 8 streams of content today though, so obviously that's quite a logistical challenge, a logistical minefield to put together, so our events team have done an absolutely fantastic job of making that happen. Most of the other streams are taking place up there on the balcony. So if you go to get up to it, you need to use those stairs, which are on behind you and to my left. And then there's various rooms along the front, and then there's a kind of an archway back to a couple more. So all of the streams are up there by the keynote one, except for the MarTech one. And the MarTech one is downstairs at the other side. So there's some stairs going down just to my right over here. So that's where you'll find all the MarTech stuff. So that's going on there, and I believe the refreshments are taking place all around the room, so you can find out where those things are. If you need to know where your session's taking place, which stream you're in, do take a look at the show guide you should have got when you walked in, or have a look at the app. I'll tell you a bit more about the app later on. Right, so as we say, the agenda it's a packed agenda. I think we've got about 80 sessions, something like that. So there's a huge wealth of stuff there. It's an embarrassment of riches of content and great ideas. So we're really excited about that. We want to obviously make sure you guys get the opportunity to get your best out of the day. Hopefully those of you who have registered your sessions in advance will have which sessions you're in listed on the back of your badge. Here, I don't have mine listed there because I've got to be here all day. But if you register in advance, you should have your sessions printed there. If you haven't done that, or your sessions aren't printed, you can go to the registration desk, which is over on the left-hand side, or my left-hand side of the room, and you can find out what opportunities there are, which sessions you can get into. Be aware that if you haven't booked your sessions in advance already, please do it as soon as you can, because obviously some of the rooms are bigger than others. We can't guarantee everybody gets into everything, and we need to make sure that we give priority to those of you who have booked in advance. So please do check now if you haven't booked your session already, so that you know what's available, what you can get in, what you can go to, and what you want to see. We want to hate you to miss anything. So a quick word about our sponsors. Obviously, today's a really big deal, and we couldn't work without your support, so we're really grateful to all of you. There's a huge host of companies there. It's double the number that we had last year, so we've grown the event significantly, as you can see. There's too many names to thank individually, but I just particularly want to thank our headline sponsor, who's Gyro, and I want to thank our stream sponsors, who are AdRoll, Demandbase, there's one there, On24, Stein, IAS, and Turtle. Thank you guys, we appreciate you helping us today, and we know you're going to contribute an awful lot to today's event, so thank you very much indeed for that. Right now, people often ask me at our events, can I get access to the presentation decks that people have presented? And the answer is always, yes, of course you can. But to do that this year, as we've done in the past, we need you to complete a delegate survey to understand what you thought about today and to get feedback. It's really, really important to us, this, because our objective is to grow this event, make it better for you each year. And we can't do that unless we get your feedback. So the app, which hopefully you've downloaded already, There's a brief delegate survey on that, and I'd really be grateful if you could fill that in. And once you've done that, give you access to all of the delegate presentations. So do take 5 minutes to do that. And just on the subject of the app, we also there's free Wi-Fi here today. If you hadn't logged into that already, the network's called Ignite 2017. The password is Ignite 2017. It's very, very simple. Please download that. There's loads of functionality on that which will enrich your experience today. Not only is obviously the questionnaire there, which we were talking about earlier on, but there's an opportunity to ask questions by the Q&A tab. And obviously that's really important. We want to get your feedback. We want to make this as interactive as possible, not just people speaking at you, speaking to you as well. And you can connect with other attendees. So as I say, do take the time to do that. You can get it on the App Store or Google Play. Just search for B2B Marketing, capital B, number 2, letter B, marketing. You should find it relatively easily. And I also wanted to mention another innovation from this year is that we're live streaming today via our colleagues at the Crocodile, so thank you very much to them for supporting that. Now obviously you guys are here already, so you don't need to be live streamed. It'd be a bit weird if you sat in the room live streaming the event which you're sitting at, that would be strange. However, there are lots of people out there, your colleagues, who we want you to make jealous that they're not here. So we'd really be grateful if you could try and share this a little bit and get some viral activity going on this. So it's very simple to do, it's via Facebook. All you need to do, I'm assured, is to like us on Facebook, and you can find us on Facebook under, slightly confusingly, Marketing B2B, not B2B Marketing. So please go to Facebook, please like us, please share what's going on with people. We'd love to get all the stuff, some of the best stuff that's going on here, shared to a wider audience so you can see what's happening. And on Twitter, of course, we're live on Twitter today. In previous years, we've trended on Twitter for this event. We really want to do the same today. So the hashtag is #IgniteB2B. I'm sure those of you who are out there use Twitter regularly have already done this. You can follow us on Twitter. If you're here, you're on Twitter, and you don't follow us already, that's a bit strange, but you can follow us. We're at Marketing B2B. You can follow me. I'm Joel_B2B editor. I tried to put that on the slide here, but somehow it's crept off there. So a bit of self-promotion doesn't hurt anybody. So please get involved on Twitter. We'd love to have your thoughts, and generally kind of get the buzz going around what's going on here and share some of the ideas. And don't forget, the last point to make is that once the actual conference finishes today, the whole day isn't finished, because we've got a new awards program happening this evening, which is called the People Awards, and that starts at 5:45, which is kind of it dovetails with our drinks reception already. The People Awards, if you're not familiar with it, is all about recognizing the best of the best in the talent that's in the B2B marketing industry. A lot of you will already know we have a big awards due in November, which is fantastic, and if you can remember it, you definitely weren't there. But that's really about recognizing the talent in the kind of creative side of things. It's mostly about the campaigns and programs. We've had a couple of little categories around individuals. This session is all about talent and individuals. It's about rewarding those people who bring this industry alive and make it special. And so I think it's really important we get behind this, and this is a stake in the ground. We want to do more of this in the future. So we'd love it if you stayed around and helped recognize some of those people and had a drink with us and had some fun, because after a long day of listening to sessions, that's what we're all going to need, right? So please stay and join us, and that'll be great. And that is it for me for the time being. I'm sure you've had quite enough housekeeping, boring, routine, mundane, administrational stuff. It's my great pleasure now to introduce my good friend who's flown all the way from the USA. He's one of our best speakers we've had in the past. He's delightfully agreed to come back here. And he also supports one of the finest beards in B2B marketing. Ladies and gentlemen, if you could join me in welcoming to the stage Mr. Lee Oden.
Thank you, Joel. Wow. Good morning. Good morning. It is a good morning. It's warm already, and it's going to get hot in here, a little hotter. And welcome to Influencer Marketing, Mighty Hype or Great Hope for B2B. I'm going to do a quick poll with hands, like not to set the digital aside for a second. I just want, how many people think right now that influencer marketing is a bit of hype? Anybody? Come on, be honest. Yeah, a couple. Sure. How many have hope? A little hope? A little hope for some influencer marketing? Yeah? Okay, at least I got you to raise your hands. Awesome. I'm very excited to be here. London is one of my favorite cities in the world. I've been able to give over 200 presentations in 17 different countries in the time I've had the opportunity to evangelize integrated marketing. And while it may seem that I'm out to talk about, best practices, maybe talk about my company a little bit, but really what I'm doing is I'm on a search. I'm going to search for the best looking audience in the world. And I was just in the Nordics, Copenhagen and Oslo. Those are some good looking marketers up there. I think maybe we have some competition, right? Because you all have been in the sun lately. lots of tan. So if you all could get good looking real quick, I'm going to take your photo. Come on, wave. Fantastic. Of course, I'll post that on Facebook. You guys can tag yourselves if you want, and so forth. All right, great. So let's get started. The king of hype, right? I think we can all agree hype can be a very dangerous thing. We've got a situation in the U.S. right now, and it made me think, maybe we could trade. And then I was thinking, you guys have your own situation you've got to deal with. So I think I have to resolve to the fact that hype is a good thing, but hype can be dangerous too. So let's focus on what's actually igniting B2B marketing in 2017. I've actually been able to reach out to some of the other speakers and literally ask them this question and got some really interesting answers. Some folks, a lot of folks, said data. That's what's igniting B2B. Others were talking about technology. And then we got a lot more answers. Everything from creating better customer experience, innovative or continuous innovation, virtual reality, consumer-generated content, social selling, and even the topic that's near and dear to me, which is the topic of influencer marketing. So you're going to hear about these sorts of topics from these speakers and many other talented speakers today. And I invite you to think about not only what you can do to ignite better performance of your own B2B marketing, but also think about what you can do to make B2B, make the industry even better, right? Because we're suffering some information overload right now. We're suffering something that is pretty dangerous, I think, in the marketing world, and that is boring to boring. It's that definition of B2B that we don't like to talk about, but it's out there, right? And a lot of people have that perception. You see these blog posts talking about, how can I market in a boring industry? And it's so prevalent in B2B. And why is that? Why is B2B sometimes so boring to boring? It's because we're still architecting marketing programs according to a linear funnel, right? I mean, can you imagine, and I'm going to use a retail example. Can you imagine walking into a Marks and Spencer and go, excuse me, sir, could you show me where the top of the funnel is? Because I need to experience all your predetermined touch points in the sales process before I can decide to buy a package of blueberries, right? Or enterprise resource planning software, or industrial equipment, right? It just doesn't happen. But we're all guilty of architecting marketing programs as if people perform and behave in a linear fashion. The reality is it looks a little more like this, right? The customer journey is diverse, it's dynamic, it goes back and forth, right? We have a pain, we go do a search, we go to social, we talk to peers, we see an ad, we subscribe, we get nurtured, we go to Google again. That's the reality, right? And the interesting thing is that influence plays a critical role at every single one of those interaction opportunities, right? There was a study done by Demand Gen Report, a B2B focused publication on content preferences. 99% of B2B buyers want content that includes ideas from industry thought leaders. Now, what a lot of companies are doing is they've got marketing departments putting out content, talking about features and benefits, and maybe they cite some executives, but that's about it. Every time I see another B2B ebook, the first thing I look for is who are the outside credible voices? There are none, usually. 87% of B2B buyers give more credence to content that includes industry experts. And that's a very compelling thing. And this is something you can solve immediately. As Philip Sheldrake likes to say, if you're in business, you're in the business of influence, right? It plays a role in all aspects of your organization. Now, I'm biased, of course. I'm in the business of helping companies create influence, to work with influencers. But if you think about it, this is the DNA of persuasion. It is the DNA of marketing, the ability to be influential. Content is the bread and butter of most B2B marketing. And with content, you have these objectives, like how are we going to attract the right audience? How are we going to engage them in a meaningful way and create a great experience? How are we going to convert them to the next stage, whatever it may be? How are we going to use content to retain them and to create advocacy? It all rolls back to attraction again. And these are some of the fundamentals of B2B marketing, right? There are problems with this, though. On the B2B buyer side, we have distrust of brand content, right? People are using ad blocking software. They're overloaded with information. And because so many more buyers, B2B buyers, are self-directed through the journey, they're pulling themselves through most of the experience, and they're doing it with content. And companies are challenged to meet the demand, the insatiable, it seems, demand of content that buyers want to have. Now, B2B brands aren't doing themselves too many favors either. Many are reactive. I mean, to hell with a documented marketing strategy or content marketing strategy. Let's react to what the competition is doing and do what they're doing, right? Or let's put out content that focuses on how we can generate as much revenue as possible tomorrow, right? And it tends to come across as a bit desperate, salesy. There's also short-term disconnected campaigns, which is how many budgets are organized, right? We're limited by budgets and resources to execute that way, but who of you who is a B2B buyer waits for a B2B brand's next campaign before you decide to interact with them? You don't wait, right? And yet that's how they're communicating. And of course, we can all empathize with limited resources. So many are turning to new ideas, new ways of thinking, and influencer marketing is one of them. Certainly it's been present in B2C, but it's a rising tide in B2B. And there's the hypothesis of the presentation. Can we believe the hype, right? You have people so optimistic talking about all the wonderful things about influencer marketing, and then you're like, well, really? I was just at a presentation, another event earlier this week here in London, where a fellow was talking about how being able to attract millions of visitors, millions of this and millions of that. I'm like, well, what happened? He didn't know. There was no conversion tracking. What good is the intoxication of virality if it doesn't actually generate results? And a lot of people think, well, isn't it just for B2C? Isn't it just for makeup bloggers or fashion vloggers, right? Isn't it just about celebrities, athletes, and actors or pro influencers? I was tallying up, looking at Zoella's network. 31 million plus across YouTube and Pinterest and Snapchat and Instagram. It's unbelievable. And do the economics of paid influencers even work for B2B? £58,000 for one Instagram post? When you have a 6-month or 12-month sales cycle, how in the world would you be able to justify those kinds of expenses? So I say keep calm and just say no to brand individuals, right? Because we don't need those brand individuals necessarily that are so often associated with influencer marketing, especially in B2C. As Andrew Grill says, what we don't need just influencer reach. We need relevance, respectability, and reliability. We need to be focused and targeted. That's where the magic happens, especially in B2B, working with influencers. So I'll give you an example. Very simple, elementary, 101 type of campaign. This is a software company that provides a platform to enable other companies to deliver a better customer experience. So the idea here is to provide a resource, a collection of customer experience horror stories, and why not use a metaphor to package that to make it a little more infotaining and interesting, and to co-create an ebook with industry influencers that is integrated with brand case studies, right? This is topically specific as well. So the same keyword research you would do is also used to identify the right influencers to work with, because we're making content together. As a result, improved SEO indefinitely, and just for this pilot campaign, 600 marketing qualified leads, right? This is very straightforward stuff, and this is the kind of thing we're figuring out at many different levels at our company. And at our company, we get to work with some amazing B2B brands, SAP, Oracle, Dell, LinkedIn, and some folks are doing some really interesting things. And one of the things we're doing is taking a step back and asking, what does influence actually mean in a marketing context? Is it popularity? Isn't it? No. It's the ability to affect action. If you have popularity, and your message doesn't resonate and result in action, then what is the point? Satisfy some executive's ego? How are you going to monetize that? So our definition of influencer marketing that we go to market with and we advise clients on is very relationship and content focused. Relationship to add meaning. Content focused to add revenue, right? So it's about building relationships with both internal, so employees, internal experts, and external subject matter experts, right? And they have to have an active network. They have to have people paying attention. And what are we going to do with them? We're going to co-create content. We're going to make things together to create mutual value. And we're going to do that in a way that delivers measurable business outcomes for your company. If you're not doing that, again, what is the point, right? So there are lots of value metrics, if you will, benefits of influencer co-created content. It adds a degree of authenticity, depending on who you're working with. It adds variety, the opportunity for you to talk about more topics than your defined marketing department might be coming up with. It allows you to, or gives you a reason to engage with subject matter experts. Go talk to those engineers you never talk to and ask them questions. Find out what people are asking them most often. What problems are they solving most often, right? It allows you to extend marketing, content production outside of the marketing department and actually scale. Imagine if you had 25 influencers who could help you make the next, all the content of your next program. It adds a degree of quality. It expands your reach because their participation, their contribution of making something together with your brand will inspire them to promote because it makes them look good, which helps you as well. And because it's content, it's measurable. And of course, I mean, it's as measurable as any other digital marketing tactic. The cool thing about influencer integration with content is that it solves for those issues that we talked about earlier in terms of credibility, authentic voices that people actually want to hear from that are combined with your brand content. And on the other side, it solves for some of the issues that you impose on yourself as a B2B brand in your ability to meet the insatiable need of content that B2B buyers need. So what are consumer influencer marketers doing well? There's some lessons we can learn. Obviously, they do well working with celebrities. They do well creating fun types of content and video content. Now, I don't know what the industrial manufacturing version of throwing an Oreo cookie into a glass of milk would be, but we've got to figure it out, right? We've got to figure it out because this kind of content is infotaining and it's getting a lot of views. What is B2C failing at? They're failing at sloppiness and poor taste, like the Kendall Jenner Pepsi situation, or lack of disclosure with Katie Price's Snickers ad, or throwing a fish at someone's private parts. Yeah. Failure to disclose that this is an ad is probably one of the biggest issues, and it's rampant. Just look at the Fire Festival and what happened there. So we actually decided to kind of demystify the whole realm by actually talking to influencer marketing practitioners at large enterprises. We talked to well over 100 major brands in the US and in Western Europe. And we partnered with Tracker, a platform, as well as Altimeter Group. And Brian Solis actually wrote the analysis here. I'm going to share a couple of key insights out of that report to kind of give you an idea of what's happening with folks who are knee-deep or up to their chin in this area. So one, concerns strategy. 71% of marketers say that their influencer marketing program is strategic or highly strategic. That sounds pretty optimistic to me. You know the expression, put your money where your mouth is? Companies are only allocating 10% of their budgets to influencer marketing. So, you know, they may think pretty highly of their ability to view influencer marketing strategically, but they're not putting their money where their mouth is. However, the good news is 55% of marketers said they will be spending more in the coming year on influencer marketing. And of those who are already investing in a platform of some kind, that number jumps to 77%. What about impact on the organization? When surveyed, the respondents said the number one areas of impact, the number one area of impact is content marketing. Influencer marketing has the greatest impact on the company's ability to create valuable content, followed closely by social media. And you know, when you talk about the ROI of developing relationships, as a lot of people who pontificate about influencer marketing do, the real ROI is through content, which we as digital marketers can do lots of magic with. What about maturity? 43% of the marketers surveyed said that they're still experimenting And this is early days. Only 24% of the respondents said that they have ongoing influencer programs, right? So what most folks are guilty of doing, of those of you who are already implementing influencer programs, it's when you have a campaign, you reach out to people to get them to promote your content. That's usually what happens. The best practice is to have an ongoing, always-on relationship so that they favor you next time you reach out to them to do something together versus your competition, who is also trying to get their attention. When we take a look at the difference between B2B and B2C, 48% of B2C marketers have ongoing influencer programs compared to only 11% of B2B. Maybe we're boring because we're behind a little bit. Now that doesn't mean the same things work in B2B as they do in B2C, but it is, as an optimist, I see this as opportunity. In terms of impact or goals, the top goals cited were about creating top-of-funnel brand awareness. But I thought it was really interesting that 67% of marketers said one of their top goals was to improve lead generation, right? To improve the quality of leads as well. And while that is, pretty indicative of the value that influencer marketing brings to marketing, or B2B marketing specifically, working with influencers can deliver value in the relationship and experiences you're creating with your customers across the entire customer lifecycle, all the way from awareness to advocacy. And the last data point I'll share with you is integration, right? 57%, lots of optimism here, 57% will be fully integrated across all marketing activities in the next 3 years. But right now, only 5% are fully integrating influencers in all their marketing activities. So that's a lot of growth in a short period of time. And the good news is that there are tons of resources, tons of best practices, tons of experts you can tap into to help make that change. You can get these stats from an interactive, ungated, interactive infographic at influencermarketingreport.com. Feel free to check it out. And you can also get the full report there as well. So how are effective B2B marketers engaging with influencers? I'm going to share with you a couple of examples, one from Dell, one from Oracle, one from SAP. In the case of Dell, there's a situation where we have a pretty mature marketing organization, but we have disparate groups implementing influencer marketing differently. And we have these influencer relations folks in the PR department that have spent years developing relationships with industry influencers, and now marketing is all of a sudden wanting to come over and go, we want to work those influencers on a campaign. And PR's going, you're not touching my influencer, are you kidding? I've spent a long time developing this relationship for you to just do some kind of SEO roundup post or something like that with them. So the answer was a playbook. A playbook was a documented, a point of view, the formal point of view of the organization about what influencer marketing means for the Dell organization. It also gave definitions, it gave insight on best practices and governance, and it's a starting point, as Shelley says here. A playbook is a great start, but training is what scales globally. So their playbook and training program actually won Program of the Year at Serious Decisions Conference this year, which is pretty cool. So some of the components of this initiative that brought marketing and PR together in an enterprise organization started by defining what influencer relations really is, what are best practices around activating influencers, and then how are we going to measure the performance of working with these influencers. Also taking audits and inventory. Okay, what is actually happening in our large company with 50,000 employees? And when it comes to influencer marketing, who are the influencers? Who's executing campaigns and programs and actually documenting that through an audit? Also creating a schema so that the organization can define, well, what kinds of influencers are there relevant to our business? And actually providing examples of influencers so people have something to go by as they want to implement influencer programs. And the last thing was metrics, including event pizzazz. I don't know what the KPI is for that is exactly, I can imagine, but this is literally from their playbook. But it's a great way to give people who aren't necessarily thoughtful about all the aspects of how to measure value and giving them not only the list and the grid here, but also best practices on how to do that and the resources internally, the IT people to connect with on how to do that. So that's a little story about Dell. playbook, and a pilot, actually. And pilots, in the case of Oracle, turned into campaigns. Now, Oracle views, folks that we're working in the Bay Area, influencer marketing is something that creates a lot of value in a lot of different ways, as Kevin Klossimo says here. Content creation, so help in actually making the content, adding credibility to the content, promoting the content, but most important are the relationships, right, that drive real results. So I'll share an example with you of how working with influencers was a bit of a force multiplier in improving the performance and the quality of their campaigns. This is an ungated asset from their customer experience folks. So various influencers were selected and engaged to contribute, and most of the content was delivered by the influencers in this particular asset. Again, it's ungated, and it beat the average number of views by 1,000 in just 2 weeks. So what I mean is, all the assets they created in the last 2 years had X average views. This asset beat all of them by over 1,000 in only 2 weeks. And a lot of that had to do with these influencers who were proud to be a part of this thing, and they were out there promoting it, instead of simply relying on other means. Now, on top of this, we're throwing ad money after the fact to further amplify this, which some folks say, look, maybe I can work with influencers to promote our content instead of buying ads. That's actually crazy. When you have better quality content, that's a reason to invest more money in ads, sending qualified traffic to that content. Another example is a gated example from their digital commerce. So this is a new sort of initiative for Oracle. So a smaller number of very high-profile influencers were included. And by the way, these are all organic, right? So we're not paying these folks. And this particular asset, because of those influencers, and it's a very robust asset as well, it beat the conversion rate by over 260%. And of course, we're not done. This still has active promotion going on with it. So the point and the takeaway for you is simply, it adds nitrous to your gasoline, to your petrol, right? It's a force multiplier in terms of credibility and the ability to promote. Last example I'll share with you is from SAP. So if we have a playbook, right, we have a documented strategy and best practices, rules around governance, we understand what kind of influencers there are, and we've actually even done a pilot to collect data, as you should, and build a business case for us to implement campaigns, which we're doing now, just like Oracle is. What can we do to upgrade the performance of content, of influencer content, interactive, right? And that's what SAP is doing. For their Sapphire event this year, we created an interactive ebook, which was predominantly created by the influencers some of which were actually attending the event. So as Amisha says, working with influencers to co-create content creates mutual value. That's the DNA of an organic influencer program. It's a value exchange, but when that content is interactive, it creates a better experience, right? It's more engaging. And that's exactly what we created. So this is a digital transformation topic, path to innovation, and this is actually an ebook, right? So as you take a look at it, again, most of this content was actually contributed by influencers, not by the marketing staff at our agency, not by the marketing staff at SAP. And because it was something that was, different than the typical two-dimensional ebook or content asset, influencers are very proud to be a part of this, and they promoted the heck out of it, right? And so this is something that really adds a lot of experience and flavor and relevance. And by the way, it's also optimized for search to any content program, let alone one that's more credible that incorporates influencers. So some ROI considerations for you as I sort of wrap up here. Think about what impact could it have on your ability to deliver on your marketing objectives if you had a group of internal and external defined experts and influencers to work with, to help you create that content, to help you actually promote the content, right, with or without advertising. Think about what it's going to cost, because it does cost money. It costs money in terms of internal resources. It costs money in terms of technology. Also, think about what will it cost if you don't create relationships with the top influencers or the most important influencers in your industry before the competition does. This is a category that is very much like in the late 90s when I was involved with SEO, right? I saw the meteoric rise of SEO, and then Google came on board, and then blogs, and then social media, and then content marketing. I've lived through all those things, delivering those solutions to companies, and I'm telling you, influence is in the same sort of category right now. And the thing is that there's a finite number of people who know how to play the influencer marketing game. They are really good at creating content and behaving as an advocate for your business. And, you know, if you create relationships with them now, when the time comes you would like to invite them to make something together, you're familiar, you're friends, you have a connection, and you have an advantage over competitors. So getting started starts with getting expert help and defining a strategy. Find out who are the top influencers inside and outside of your company. Develop a strategy, maybe create a playbook. Invest in technology. Find out, well, what is it that you actually need to do? You can't scale this stuff without tech. It's not going to happen with Google spreadsheets, okay? Finding these influencers is more than just going to a social search engine that only uses Twitter data. It's about collecting information and managing the relationship and being able to measure performance. And then also activation. I think the low-hanging fruit are your own employees, right? Your own customers. Find people who are already communicating publicly through social channels in a positive way about your brand or about the things that your customers care about, and invite them to make something together, to make content that actually is for the greater good of your industry. Start there. Go through that process. Document what worked and what didn't. And then use that as a model for you to actually pilot a program with brand new industry influencers that you don't already have as advocates. And understand that when whoever it is in your company that is going to work with industry influencers, they're going to become influential themselves. So you don't give this job to an intern, okay? This is what's happened to me over the last 6 years. We've been implementing influencer content programs for 6 years. We've been using working with influencers. We've been working with influencers to create content for lots of different brands, including Content Marketing Institute, for example. And what's interesting about it is that the longer you implement this type of effort, the more you have to work with, but your cost investment stays flat, right? Because we're adding more content, we're adding more influencers to our community, and we have more people to draw from as we go. So, there's an opportunity for us to have some Q&A. I don't know about right now if I have any time, but certainly at 12:40. There is something called a quick-fire QA session in the studio, which is over there. So I'm happy to talk to you about some of the ideas I couldn't actually fit in this keynote, some practical, tactical stuff. And of course, I don't know if you like Marketers with Beards. Yes, go to Marketers with Beards. Feel free to check it out. It is a funny, not serious group on Facebook. So, do we have any questions? Do we have time for questions? Oh, yeah. All right. Awesome. Okay.
So I hope you'll agree, not just that Lee's got a fantastic beard, that influencer marketing is absolutely where we need to be right now. And I've got a couple of questions just to round up the session. We're running a little bit late, but we're going to try and catch up some of this time. So I'm going to ask a couple of questions. So Lee, I mean, I love the point about brand individuals. I think that's fantastic. Do you think that and there's this world of consumer brand individuals, you know, these kind of 12-year-olds with a billion Facebook followers. Is we ever going to see any of that in B2B, or is that, you know, is there ever going to be a kind of celebrity culture that's going to develop?
Not at the same scale, but there certainly are individuals who are professional speakers, they are book authors, they are playing the game.
Okay.
There's a very small number of those folks, and they do sell paid influencer services to B2B companies, but not at this scale in B2C.
Are they trustworthy, those guys?
Most of them are, because they're not going to be asked to work again unless they are trustworthy and they are capable.
Okay.
You know, and many of them have marketing skills, not only for B2B tech. You know, they're technologists, but at the same time, they have empathy with what you need to get done as a marketer, so they can play that game for you.
Yep.
I think we are going to see the growth of B2B marketplaces, which does not exist right now. So in B2C, you can go to a marketplace and just buy influencers, like an ad buy. You can't do that in B2B, but I think that's an area that's going to definitely grow.
Okay. And how do you run an influencer program in-house? Is it something, because the notion of if you're a client-side marketer, you obviously you've got a mixture of agencies you work with and you've got an in-house team as well. How do you balance those things off? What's the best solution?
Running an influencer program internally, obviously you need champions, and you need to have someone who's going to be the liaison between the influencers and the brand itself, right? So you've got to create some additional responsibilities for people, if that's what you're asking, operationally. And eventually, as it grows and improves ROI, you can make dedicated hires for this purpose. And you start, obviously, with marketing, but understand that the value for growing an influencer program with a brand can actually extend to PR, customer service, and recruiting as well.
Okay.
So there's an upward path. There's a sophistication path, right?
So it's a gradual process of development and getting better and slicker and all this kind of stuff. Last question for you is so you're an influencer, you're here now, right? And this is why you're on stage here. How do you get to become an influencer yourself? What do you have to do to be a great influencer?
You create value for other people first and foremost. Empathy is the strongest thing. Understanding where other people are, what situation they're in, and how you can solve problems for them with information, being useful. That's all I've ever done. Is how can I empathize with other individuals I'd like to do business with? How can I create value for them first? Then they want to work with me. Then they organically will promote me and ask me to do things like speak at conferences like this.
Okay.
That's it.
Fantastic.
So simple.
If we can give Lee a big hand and thank him again for his fantastic...
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, so we've got a transition break now, so we're going to move to the different sessions. So, as discussed before, some of those sessions are upstairs on the left-hand side. The keynote is here, so if you're listening to Gyro talking about, I can't precisely remember their topic right now, but Gyro are here on this stage, and there's another session downstairs. The Martech stage is downstairs on the right-hand side. So, please get a seat, get yourself comfortable, and we'll be kicking off again very shortly.
About how influencers and hype really get people involved in marketing and the dangers of that and also the ways that it can be used correctly. Now, we are going to be talking to Lee in about an hour's time and giving you some exclusive Facebook Live content where we're going to be really getting behind exactly what he meant and hopefully finding out a little bit more. Now, if you do want to follow us on the Facebook live stream, it's facebook.com/marketing B2B, and the hashtag to follow us on social media today is Ignite B2B. Now remember, this is one of or if not the biggest B2B marketing event in the world. And just because you can't be here today isn't necessarily a bad thing, because we've got loads of exclusive content for you. We're going to be chatting to some of the keynote speakers that is exclusive to people on Facebook. And we're also going to be streaming some of the talks from today. So don't go anywhere. It's hashtag Ignite B2B and on facebook.com/marketing B2B. Now, just to reiterate, we're over here at stand number 41. This is the Crocodile. Do come and have a chat to us today. If you want to be on camera, if you want to have a chat to me, if you want to find out what's going on at the event, or if you just want to pop in for a cup of tea and have a chat to the guys here, then please do come and see us, and we'll be chatting to Lee Odden in about an hour's time.